Okay guys, so I'm here to help you along with the spring tides and neap tides too, plus the other question on tides that I saw a lot of people missed. So this is a diagram specifically to spring and neap tides. That's why it's showing two moons. So first imagine only one moon. Okay, oops, sorry, I'm outside, it's quieter. So here we have the tidal bulge. Remember, the tidal bulge is always on the side of the moon. So the moon's gravitational pull between the Earth and the moon is making the water, that tidal bulge, flow to it. And then there's always a tidal bulge on the other side. So these are high tides. And then wherever the moon is not would be the low tides. Sorry, there's a little bit of lag. Not sure if that's showing up on your end, but it definitely is showing up on mine. Now, the reason there's two high tides and two low tides is because the Earth is actually rotating. So as it rotates or spins, the moon revolves very, very slowly. So keep in mind, the moon's going to stay pretty much in the same spot, but the Earth is going to spin, and therefore different locations will be facing the moon. So again, I wish I could show you this, but as it spins, so the tidal bulge is always towards the moon, but the Earth is actually spinning underneath it. So at one point you're going to be at high tide, 6 hours later you're at low tide, 6 hours later you're at high tide, and 6 hours later you're at low tide. So it's the Earth's rotation is the reason we have too high and too low in a 24-hour period. Then the other missed question is with this diagram. Okay, when the moon's gravitational pull and the sun's gravitational pull works together, then you have the greatest tidal bulge, meaning really high tides and really low tides. So this is the day at the beach that the water comes up way far or the water goes way out during a low tide. So it's the greatest difference between high tide and low tide. And again, that's when they're in a line. So the sun, the moon, the Earth, or the sun, the Earth, and the moon. So it happens at a new moon and a full moon. We haven't done moon phases yet, but those are two common ones. Then a neap tide is the opposite. So a neap tide is when they're working kind of against each other. So the sun and the moon is at a right angle. So the sun's gravity is pulling the water this way. The moon's gravity is pulling the water that way. You can notice the purple, that's the high tide. See how different it is? This one had a huge tidal bulge. Neap tide has a very small tidal bulge. Oops, sorry about that. Again, and this is when you have really low high tides or high low tides. And I know but it doesn't look much different because the gravitational pull are fighting against each other. So then that happens at what we call a first quarter and a third quarter moon. I hope this helped.